What's up, everybody? It's Wabacha, and I wanted to give you a week 2 update of the explosive trap Trickster that I'm playing in Necropolis Softcore Standard League. So just to give you just a quick rundown of my character, it is a level 98 Trickster. We are using Slave Driver's Hands. We are also using the Dark Steer, Tinker Skin. We do have some pretty good items. It could be better, obviously, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Have a pretty decent scepter, especially we'll talk about this throughout this video, that I crafted at the beginning of the league. And then as for like our passive tree, it's a pretty standard passive tree. The big things, well, probably any big difference is I'm using a massive thread of hope. I'm a little on the fence about this, to be completely honest. I just wanted to try it out, but I was trying to pair that with a lethal pride timeless jewel. Over here, this could be better. And then, you know, we're just running like a full cluster setup with a physical large and 2 trap node mediums. And then we have a balance of terror. And then we also are using Forbidden Flame and Flesh, Cobalt, and Crimson Jewels to allocate Pyromaniac. So, I did my first tier 17 yesterday, and it really became apparent to me that I need more damage. I was able to do it like relatively comfortably, but the damage was a little lacking. I felt on the boss and then also on like some of the tougher rares. I'm not too worried about this though, because I have some like really easy areas of opportunity for damage. Generally, when you are, well, not generally, but for this type of explosive trap build, you pretty much have like kind of 2 stages, maybe like 3 stages, for how you get your damage, right? You know, the big one is gem levels. Gem levels are absolutely huge. You want to be getting yourself a 2120 explosive trap of shrapnel, you know, a +2 or +3 chest with the implicit. Wherever you could get plus level skills, obviously it's good. Up to level 30. I think it doesn't scale as well after level 30. That's the first part. The second part, though, is achieving crit cap without the use of a medium cluster, crit medium cluster, or without some of these like passive points in your passive tree. So that's the second thing, but then the third big thing is actually achieving crit cap without the use of increased critical strike support. This is actually pretty difficult. There's a couple ways you could do it. Like you could get a Watcher's Eye. It's pretty expensive though, and it's a jewel socket, which you're actually a little pressed for jewel sockets on the tree, especially if you're using Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame. If you are choosing to go the Storm Shroud route, there's probably discussion to be had, but I'm using Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame for Pyromaniac. But if you could achieve crit cap, 100% crit, without increased critical strikes, this is a very clear goal to have, that you should generally have for an explosive trap build. Now, again, I know there are different types of explosive trap builds. I'm using Slave Driver's Hands. A lot of people will use Sunblast Belt. To each their own. I think this concept is largely the same. But yeah, getting just crit cap without the gem is the next on my to-do list. And I should be able to get it pretty soon, as I have been corrupting Slave Driver's Hands and able to get well, I've gotten a couple of good double corrupts. I already sold one for 15 div. Well, I mean, it wasn't a good double corrupt. I was in people on hit. I sold that for 15 div. This is a really good double corrupt. Unfortunately, it's just not good for me. Probably be interesting on a poison-based explosive trap character. But on a personal note, those are like kind of general things about explosive trap and being crit cap. My big areas of opportunity, my scepter. Now, this is a scepter that I crafted at the very beginning of the league. It's the video, that's the 88 Corpse Craft. You can check it on my channel. When I got this, you know, even if you watch that video, you could tell that I was like, you know, this is a little rough, but it works. And it did work. But realistically, at this point, if I get a relevant scepter that's +2 with crit multi, which you could literally do that in this league. Like, that's something that can happen in Necropolis League. You can make perfect items. I gain almost 20%. Almost get 20% more damage out of that. So this is a really big area of opportunity for me. This is something I'm going to be approaching very aggressively this week, because I want to. There are things I want to do, obviously, and the longer that I'm dealing with like gimped damage and higher level content, it kind of sucks. But then I'm also seeking more damage through like the other means, right? Not just upgrading my weapon, but seeking it through double corrupts, like on my gloves. Obviously, I'd love Frenzy Charge and what's the other one I'm thinking of? Oh, I'm stupid. I'm sorry. Frenzy Charge of Spell Crit. I was like, I'm forgetting one. Frenzy Charge of Spell Crit would be absolutely amazing for me. Curse, Curse on hit isn't really ideal, because I'd rather use Assassin's Mark, and I'd rather go dual Curse, and I also need to, well, I mean, it wouldn't be bad. Like, if I got a Frenzy Charge, Curse, LA Weakness, Slave Driver's Hand, that wouldn't be bad. But I use Balance of Terror to cast to get the buff. It would still be useful. Honestly, it would still be pretty good. And it would create uptime on LA Weakness, which would actually be pretty good. But the ideal one that I want is actually Frenzy Charge and Spell Crit Chance. You know, getting a good double corrupt on a chess piece. This could also be very good. It could also be very good defensively. Oh, let's do this real quick. Wait. Anyway, I'm seeking damage increases and also some survivability increases where I can. Double corrupts, really good for that. On my gloves, like I'd mentioned, on my chest, that'd be very good as well. I would even take a max LE res or 50% reduced critical strike or extra damage taken from critical strikes, things like that. Other things to consider would be like getting a better lethal pride. This one is actually like kind of okay, but it's kind of bare minimum, if you ask me. There's a couple of points that are useless. I think these bottom three, stun threshold, totem damage, and stun duration, that's kind of whatever. But the other ones are actually pretty good. I just don't have a lot of the same ones. Like, I got one double damage up here. I have a physical damage taken from hits take. Wow. I have 5% of physical damage from hits taken as fire over here. And the other ones are pretty good. And the other thing that I'm like constantly looking at is just like kind of like little skill tree optimizations, because when you get to this point of a build where things do matter, especially at crit cap, you could get a lot of damage just by fixing things. Like, for example, these 2 points down here, I don't think people really take them very often, and don't get me wrong, I probably won't eventually be taking these, but the way my gear is set up right now, these are 2 really, really good points. That could change. With that said, something that's on my radar is actually this node up here. I'm really curious about this, because like honestly, like these nodes, they're kind of whatever. I mean, they're good, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a point in my gear where these 4 passive points are better allocated elsewhere on the tree. And it could be a perfect example. It could be if I get access to another cluster jewel, which if I were to drop these 2 points right here and reallocate this, then all of a sudden I have access to this cluster jewel. But it's a pretty big point investment, and it is a substantial gear investment as well. So, you know, it's just things like that. These are the ways I'm seeking damage. It double corrupts, and, you know, on personal level, like replacing the scepter, that's a big thing. There's a couple other areas that I could get better damage onto. Like, I could get more damage for my belt. I'm trying to craft that. And then also, with that said, talking about the belt, the other thing I'm trying to find is just more survivability. Recently, I did add using Frost Shield to my build. This does give me, I feel like, pretty good survivability. It adds quite a bit. At least on PoE Ninja, it went from having like 50k effective health pool to like 70k effective health pool. There are a couple other things that changed at the same time, though, so I'm not going to put it all on Frost Shield. But yeah, looking for any opportunities to improve my survivability and improve my damage. Big focus on the damage. Survivability, a little bit more, it's a little bit more difficult because I mean, I don't know. If you have any ideas, put it down in the comments down below. But the last thing that, well, not the last thing, but the second to last thing I'm going to talk about is, well, self-chill. Obviously, self-chill is something I'd like to do, but the problem with self-chill is that it puts a lot of stress on these pieces that are not unique. Also, then I wouldn't be able to use Darkseer. So self-chill would probably be fantastic and fun to use on like a farming strategy or like a farming setup. But I don't know about self-chill for this setup specifically when I'm trying to push harder content, because all it's doing for me is it's giving me more trap throwing speed, and there's other ways I can get more trap throwing speed, to be completely honest. So, and that's good, that's all fine and dandy, but I would have to use a weapon, so I would lose Darkseer. I would lose the defense that Darkseer gives me, and yeah, it's just something to consider. I'll look into it when I can, but as of right now, self-chill's kind of on the back burner. I still have everything for it. Well, everything except for the weapon. I need to craft the weapon still, but I still have everything for it, and we'll see. But the last thing that I kind of want to talk about is just, I'm level 98 right now, and I'm going to start preparing for a push to level 100. I'm pretty sure I know what strategy I'm going to use to do this. I'm kind of like testing the waters on some things. Yeah, I do want to get level 100 on this. It's most likely going to be solo. I don't really see myself like having an aura bot or a party or anything like that. But I will be, I'll be making that push and, kind of, I don't know, trying to, try to maximize this and in general. So hopefully by that time I'm able to sort out more damage. It's very possible that with some upgrades, or with some key upgrades, not some key upgrades, with a few key upgrades, I could legitimately double my damage, maybe even triple it right now, which is kind of insane how scaling in PoE works. The fact that you could even do that. So yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you like this type of content, subscribe if you want more. You can catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Wabbacha. And yeah, we'll see what I play next, and I'll see you guys later.